Beastman Age!
In this review, I will be taking a look at the Masters of the Universe Origins Beastman. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Taking a look at the packaging, Beastman here comes in the standard Masters of the Universe Origins card back. The card back is supposed to resemble the vintage Masters of the Universe packaging, with the flying red rocks and the blue starry sky. Above the figure, there is a large Masters of the Universe logo with Beastman underneath. Moving down, the figure is inside a bubble. That, like the card back, is also reminiscent of the bubble of the vintage packaging. The bubble even has the same small circular dimple in the front. Moving around to the back, it shows off several other figures from the line, as well as illustrated instructions on how to hold the accessory and the articulation on the figure. And at the top is a beautiful illustration of Beastman. Now let's take a look at the figure out of the package. This Beastman here is meant to resemble the vintage figure, just updated with today's modern articulation. But there are some differences. Most notably on the head, the mouth is closed, while the vintage head had an open mouth. The fur is a bright orange. Moving down to the torso, he is wearing his dark red armor that goes from his torso up and over his head. On the front, there is a medallion that is painted blue. Looking at his left arm, on his wrist there is a bracelet that is unpainted. His arms have sculpted fur, which is good for this character. Around his bicep, he has an armor piece that has two large spikes on it. It is the same red as the armor on his chest. On his right hand, he has little spikes on the top of it that are unpainted. The vintage figure had this too. The right arm has the same shoulder armor just like the left. He is wearing a light blue furry loincloth with a mustard yellow belt. His lower legs have fur sculpted just like the forearms. The feet are just plain with no extra sculpted detail. There are peg holes on the bottoms of the feet. Here's a look at the back side of the figure. All the armor pieces have tabs on the back, which will allow you to undo and remove the armor if you choose to do so. Since this figure is supposed to be based on the vintage figure, let's take a look at them side by side. At first glance, they are almost identical, but looking closer there are differences. Like I mentioned before, the mouth is open on the vintage figure. I personally like the mouth open a lot more. It makes the figure look more menacing. The armor on the new one has more sculpted detail, but overall they are pretty similar. The blue paint on the chest comes straight from the original. The armor piece that goes around the neck sticks up higher on the vintage figure. With the extra articulation on the new one, the legs are more straightened out, where the vintage legs were stuck in a bent pose. The vintage figure's feet were plain like the new one. The color of the furry loincloths are almost identical, but the belts are a different color. The armor on the vintage figure was removable as well. Now let's take a look at the articulation. The head can look left and right. It will get hindered by the armor if you move it too far over. The head can also tilt slightly side to side. He doesn't look down much, but can look up a little. The shoulders can go out this far. They do go forwards, backwards, and can rotate 360 degrees. The elbows are single jointed and can bend in about 90 degrees. There is also a swivel at the elbow. The hands can rotate 360 degrees, as well as hinge in and out. There is a waist swivel. The legs can go outwards this far. There is upper thigh rotation. The legs can kick forward this far and back this much. The knees are single jointed and can bend this much. There's also rotation at the knees. While Beastman is not wearing boots, he does have boot cut articulation. The feet can go up and down, as well as rock side to side. Beastman's only accessory is his whip. It is solid black in color. The whip itself is a rope like the vintage whip. There is a handle in the bottom part for him to hold onto it. Beastman's right hand is sculpted with a close grip, which allows him to hold onto the whip with ease. Just put the handle over the fingers and you're good to go. And here's a look at Beastman equipped with his weapon of choice. Now let's compare the Origins Beastman to some other figures. First up is the vintage Beastman again. And here he is alongside a Masters of the Universe Classic Skeletor. Once again, if you're new to this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, as well as click on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. Smack that like button if you did enjoy this video, and leave me a comment. Follow me on social media, links are in the description below. Thanks for watching. Hey there, if you did enjoy this video, why not click on one of these other two videos that I've made? And be sure to check the channel out for all my past videos.